You have this offensive line now that's going to take care of things. You're able to run the ball, take a lot of pressure off of J.J. McCarthy, keep play action viable, as well as protect him when it's time to go downtown Julie Brown to Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Moore, Felton, Hawkinson, Oliver. Let's go.
Let's go.
It's going to be really, really damn good in that regard. I'm trying to pull up McCarthy's college stats. That doesn't matter. But J.J. McCarthy in college did have a very good touchdown to interception ratio. Definitely took care of the football. Next, a stellar supporting cast has significantly boosted Minnesota's rotating cast of quarterbacks, with Jefferson and company elevating each passer's play. The Vikings' perimeter weapons make the game easy for the quarterback, given their precise route running ability and catch and run skills. In addition, Jefferson, who just earned first-team All-Pro honors for the second time in the past 3 seasons, Jordan Addison has emerged as an elite complementary wideout, while T.J. Hawkinson is one of the game's more productive tight ends. Not to mention, General Manager Quincy Dopamas has re-upped veteran running back Aaron Jones after 1138-yard debut in Minnesota. Career high for rushing, but also Aaron Jones pass blocking as well as a route running back. For my money, he's the best in the league. He absolutely is. He runs routes like a receiver. Also catches the ball away from his body, which is weird for a running back. Add in extremely promising offensive line, especially with positive reports about stud left tackle Christian Darrisaw's recovery from knee surgery. And the Vikings have enough firepower and protection around McCarthy to alleviate the pressure on him to carry the offense. The young quarterback needs to operate like a pass-first point guard, directing an intricate half-court offense to thrive as the high-end game
Dorian.
many envision while evaluating the former Michigan standout in last year's pre-draft process. Now, all he has to do is be like that 6'9" point guard from Michigan State for back in '79. All he has to do is be Magic Johnson on the field, on the court. Well, also, as we said, like we can't go over this enough. Like the Vikings have all the firepower to be the best offense in the National Football League, and I say not one of the best, the best. And again, it's very odd because Bucky talks about things honestly, and you say, well, he just being biased because he's agrees with you. Yes, because I'm right. But when has the national media or anyone come out and just said this? Like, yeah, J.J. McCarthy, if he's good, the Vikings have a chance to win a Super Bowl. As opposed to, well, Aaron Rodgers could do really good things here with all of these weapons, this offensive line, and the coaching. Oh, yeah, all the things, just like we said last year, all the things that benefit Darnold, they benefit J.J. McCarthy. And this offense is even better with the interior offensive line got fixed. Next. Though some will take the high-end game manager language as a dig at McCarthy's upside, it speaks to his winning pedigree and ego-free approach. That's exactly it. Hey, he could have transferred NIL money away from Michigan, thrown for 5,000 yards in a season, and everyone would be like, oh, here we go. Oh, J.J. McCarthy, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, 5,500 passing yards.
What's up, Shaden?
In a very, don't want to say gimmicky because there is skill set in like the RPO and like the pump and dump type offenses, but yeah. Which would you rather have? A winner in a pro style offense that gets it done against big time competition, or just empty, hollow stats? Yeah, remember, Case Keenum is the NCAA all time passing leader. Go Cougars. That's right. McCarthy has already demonstrated
Go Cougars.
to sacrifice individual stats for team success. I just said that. See 27-1 record Michigan and national. I just said that. And by the way, his number one receiver, Roman Wilson. And that's certainly also. It was crazy. Look at that entire Michigan offense. I mean, the offensive line was good for college, except for maybe what Zenters maybe is going to be the only regular starter in the league. Blake Corum is a running back too. Colson Loveland might be the only true successful regular NFL starter from that Michigan offense. And you juxtapose that to, say, the 2019 LSU Tigers, Burrow, Chase, but also actually, I think Ed Ingram was a backup in that offensive line, so take that back. Or the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, right? So these dominant college teams, I mean, they're loaded with NFL talent. Look at the Buckeyes last year. Not even an undefeated season because Michigan. But Donovan Jackson, he's for real. Look at all that freaking NFL talent. Absolutely, man. I get asked a lot about what gives us the belief and confidence that JJ is going to continue to grow and show and develop and be ready to attack this thing with his teammates. O'Connell told the group reporter.
Oh, Lord.
Unfortunately, he did lose his rookie year to injury, but he didn't lose that time with his teammates. That's right. He was in the building. He's in that quarterback room. He was watching film. He's grinding, getting it. He didn't lose that time in our building. He didn't lose that time continuing to become comfortable in our offense. J.J. McCarthy had all the benefits of a redshirt season aside from a couple practice reps and some garbage time snaps. That's it. But it goes back even beyond that year. It goes back to when we evaluated him coming out of college. The traits that we've seen in him as a winner, playing the quarterback position for a really long time, that there's a reason why we selected him, and the belief that we've had in him goes back to even before making that selection. So the belief just continues. Believe. That's right, man. I know that Bo Nix had a good rookie season. I know Jaden Daniels, frankly, had one of the best rookie seasons for a quarterback in NFL history.
Can God create a rock so heavy you can't lift it? That's a contradiction in the question. That's an incoherent question. How is Christianity proven? Because Christianity is Jesus is necessary. Because only Jesus can make science possible or logic real. Yeah, I let people come up, but no one's requesting. Am I saying science is fake? No.
Greetings.
Welcome, neighbor.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm getting canceled by everyone. It's awesome.
You're getting canceled?
Yeah.
Really? Why would they do that?
They're saying I'm racist.
Oh, that's terrible. Are you?
I don't like racism, but I like racist jokes. And I guess some people think racist jokes is the same thing as racism.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it in today's day and age.
Yeah.
So, do you think God is against abortion?
Yes.
Okay. Then I have a bit of a problem with that because if you assume that God created the female body and the way that it works, and then we observe that the female body randomly miscarries 20% of all fertilized eggs, then we're in a situation where God designed the female body to randomly end pregnancies or randomly abort babies.
Well, it wouldn't have originally been like that, right? Like in Eden? I don't think it would have been.
Okay. But
That's
then
probably
who decided that 20% of all pregnancies end in involuntary miscarriage?
I'm assuming that would be a result of the fall. So
Okay.
That would be
Did the fall change our physiology? Like, did the fall change how the human body works?
Yeah, well, not only the fall, but just I think time. I believe in de-evolution. So I think like the original humans had like better genetics and they lived for like 900 years, but
Okay.
we've been degrading over time.
Okay.
I think
But is it your opinion, P-Mars, that the female body works according to how God designed it?
Yeah, but you can't confuse the world we're in now with the world God designed. We're in the broken world.
Okay, so you're saying the world is not as God designed it.
Of course, because we're in the broken world.
Okay. So who made the decision to entail these consequences to the fall? Like, who decided what the consequences would be?
God would have.
Okay. So I think that argues back that God did design it to be this way.
No, God did
Okay.
not. Look, God created the world good, and then what happened was humans rebelled, and as a result of our rebellion, the world became broken. So, like, God didn't break the world; humans did.
Okay. But God decided what the result would be of the fall,
Okay,
correct?
okay, but yes, but that's irrelevant. What's relevant is who's responsible. So, who's responsible?
Well, I would say the person responsible is the person that decided the consequences and orchestrated events to
That's not
play out as they did.
that's not correct. The person responsible is the person who made the choice.
Okay. Did Eve know that by her decision to like her uninformed decision to eat from the fruit, did she know that it would result in miscarriages
How would I know that?
and earthquakes and everything else?
I mean, as far as I know, she was deceived. I think she believed that eating the fruit would bring her closer to God. She wanted to be closer to God, but they were
Well,
already in she was already in perfect harmony with God. So that
right,
resulted
but
in discord.
God's words were, "If you eat from this tree, you will on that day you will surely die."
Yep.
And I believe it was the serpent's words were that God is deceiving you, and if you eat from the fruit, you will gain knowledge of good and evil.
You will be like God. So he tempted them with they wanted to be closer to God, be like God. That was the temptation.
Okay. Do you think that Eve, in her like with the knowledge she had before she ate from the fruit, that she knew it was bad to eat from the fruit,
Yes.
but she was not able to distinguish good from evil before she ate from the fruit?
Um she knew what was good. She was in perfect harmony with God, so she always showed good.
Right, right. But what
God
what
told
is
her
the
not to
tree
eat.
called? What is the tree called, Pimers? What is the tree
Called
called?
the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but
Right.
you shouldn't be so literal. So like knowledge in that context would mean decision. So it wasn't like eating the fruit. Gain, they got like they developed intellectually from eating the fruit, right? That's not what's going on. The
Well,
knowledge.
they realized that they were naked.
No,
And they gained the knowledge, I believe, of
no,
the distinguish this being able to distinguish between good and evil.
that's incorrect. So
Really?
knowledge, as I'm telling you, dude, knowledge in that context, knowledge means decision. So it's when they decided what was good and they decided what was evil, rather than listening to God tell them what was good and evil. That was the fall.
Yeah, we could argue about that, but I'm still more interested in the point of whether Eve would know what the consequences of her eating of the fruit would actually be. Because if I've often heard Christians say that okay, earthquakes are a result of the fall, so that means that the fall changed how our planet works, and miscarriages are also a result of the fall, so it changed how our bodies work. And I don't think Eve could have had that knowledge because it's not imparted on her by God.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't say. We don't know everything she knew. All we know is what the Bible says. So
Right, but the Bible also doesn't say
no, it's
that
wrong.
the fall made it so that miscarriages occur.
Well, not explicitly, right? But it says that before the fall, there's no death and suffering, right? So there couldn't have been.
Sure,
There could. It does say there couldn't be miscarriages before the fall.
sure, but then could Eve have known that miscarriages would start occurring and earthquakes would start occurring after the fall?
Could she have known that?
Yeah.
Well, What did she know? I don't remember exactly what God. She knew not to eat the tree. I don't know if she knew the consequence. I can't remember what the story says.
Right. So if she didn't know the consequences, how was she responsible?
Because God told her she knew not to do it. God told her not to do it.
Right. But if somebody tells me not to eat a piece of candy out of a bowl,
Yeah.
and I take the candy, and then he starts randomly shooting people, am I responsible for the shootings?
No, you can't. You can't. I don't know if we can say that. Say like pew pew or something. I don't know. Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
wouldn't
My
be. You wouldn't.
apologies.
You wouldn't
But
be. You wouldn't be responsible.
right. So Eve isn't responsible.
Well, that's a totally different scenario. So, like,
Why?
why? Because you're responsible for like eating the candy, right? But you're
Yeah.
not responsible
Right.
for someone else's choice. So,
Right. So if God decides
how
to
this
then,
is how
but
freedom
then
works.
God
This
decides,
is how
sorry,
freedom
I'll
works.
stop interrupting you.
So when we have free will, then we also have responsibility. If you blame other people, that's also like an indication that you don't have freedom. So freedom and responsibility go hand in hand. So because God values our freedom, He allows us to make mistakes, but then we're also responsible for those mistakes. So she's responsible for her choice because she had freedom.
She is responsible for her choice, indeed. However, the consequences of that choice could not have been known to her, and God decides what those consequences would be. So God is, in the end, responsible for miscarriages.
I don't know why you're saying this. I'm gonna ask the AI. I don't see
I
how she
mean,
didn't know
I
the
mean, do you
consequences.
have a contention? Like, do you have a counter argument? Because
I'm
God
asking
decides what the
AI.
consequences for
I
the
don't.
fall
I
would
don't.
be.
I don't agree with that. She didn't know the consequences
Right, but why? Why don't you disagree? Why don't you agree?
because we. How would you know that? We does it say that in the story?
Well, I'm asking you, like, how could Eve have known what the consequences would be? Because that's not obvious from the
Yeah, he
story.
does tell
And
them. He
and
does. He
hold on,
does.
hold
You're
on, hold on.
wrong.
Just one
Well,
moment.
here,
One
you're
moment.
wrong.
Give me 20
You're wrong.
seconds. Give me 20 seconds. Give me 20 seconds.
Okay, but you're
So
wrong.
the consequences of the fall are, among other things, earthquakes and miscarriages occurring. And you're saying, okay, Eve is responsible for that. So I'm asking, like, how could she have known that those would be the consequences? And who decided what those consequences would be? The only logical conclusion is that God decided what those would be. So he is responsible.
That's not how freedom works, though. It what you're saying, if it's true, that would mean Eve had no freedom, and we know that the story.
I don't think Eve
Look,
had
dude,
freedom, but
dude, you
that's a
can't
different.
make up, dude. You can't just make up your own story. We have to go with what the story says. You're just making shit up. So in the story, God warned them the consequences of eating the fruit, right? So she did know the consequences. Um.
No,
So okay, bye.
that is incorrect.
That's incorrect. You don't know what you're talking about. Welcome, neighbor.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, I'm just talking to liars, you know?
Man, you're too cordial with me. I was gonna come in hot, but never mind. You called me neighbor.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. I changed my mind, bro. I'm good. Especially since I heard the atheist talk on that pissed me off too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Anyway, have a good one, brother. Good luck on
All right. I wish you
everything.
well, man. Well, I don't know, man. Sometimes I'm a jerk to people, but I try to be nice. We're supposed to be graceful, you know. Welcome, neighbor.
Yeah. So, what's the argument?
The argument is that the preconditions for intelligibility. So what is that? Either God is the necessary precondition for intelligibility, or you'd have to say something else is the precondition for intelligibility. But all non-Christian attempts to ground intelligibility collapse into absurdity. So God is the necessary precondition for intelligibility.
Yeah, what's the argument for premise two?
That like when we look at the history of epistemology, do you know what epistemology is? I don't want to bamboozle you.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, there's like two schools of thought of how we prove things. It's like empiricism, which is like science, and then there's rationalism, which is sort of like mathematics. And if you like, there's no foundation for either. So we have failed to like defeat skepticism as humans, which is the point of epistemology. And so like the only way we can defeat skepticism is if the foundation of reality and truth is a person that reveals himself in history and creation, which we have as Jesus, and nothing else has those attributes to like make logic real or make knowledge possible and science possible. So that's the argument.
Okay, so when you were saying there just now about the history, and we have like rationalism, empiricism, okay. And then we said how those two failed,
Yeah.
and therefore Jesus.
Yeah, only Christians have a coherent epistemology. So
Yeah,
knowledge
but
is only
that's what you're
possible.
trying to motivate.
Yeah, I just told you it's impossible. The only two ways of knowledge from a human perspective have failed. It doesn't work, and it will
Okay,
never.
so how do we get from rationalism and empiricism being false to Jesus?
Because all non-Christian epistemologies fail.
That's what I'm asking for. What's the argument for that?
The history of epistemology.
You've only named rationalism and empiricism. Even if I grant that, what's the argument it leads to Jesus?
Okay. Well, I've already presented the argument. So for you to ask that question, what you're doing is you're dressing up your worldview as a question. So have you like defended that you're in an environment where God didn't reveal himself, or that you can reason without the help of Jesus? Have you defended those positions?
Wait, I'm confused. For an argument?
Before you ask me for further argumentations, I want you to defend your position.
So that's not how any proof theory works. What do you mean?
Well, I already gave the argument. Like, so now it's on you. So this is how debate works,
an
right?
argument, you
Stop,
think
stop,
that the
stop,
argument-
stop. This is how debate works. I have the initial burden, right? So I just made an argument. So now you have what's called the evidential burden. So now you have to make a counter argument. When you ask me for a further defense of my argument, you're smuggling in your worldview that arguments are possible without reference to God. I've just argued it's absurd to argue without reference to God. I've just argued that. So why are you asking me for further arguments? You have to defend your position. How does argumentation make sense on your model of reality? Or how can you reason without reference to Jesus? Go ahead.
Can you name me any literature in continental philosophy which says dialectics work this way?
Yeah, you can refer to the paper Atheological Apologetics by Scott Shelkowski. And he also refers to Nicholas Rasher, who's another PhD professor.
Yes, so that's not what I'm asking for.
Okay, bye. Pussy. Jesus, what a fake. What a fake. Total fraud. Total fraud. Dude, you're a fraud. You just got wrecked. I'm gonna. Yeah, you think I'm crashing out? I'm literally.
Hello.
I'm going to clip that. What time was that?
Hello?
24 minutes? You clip. I'm gonna clip that. You think I'm crashing out? I'm literally clipping you. You're a fraud.
Hello.
Hello. What would you like to
So
say?
I'm also a fellow Christian. So like, do you wait? I have a question for you. Right.
Oh God. Okay.
So, like, do you think science proves God's existence?
No, I think the possibility that the fact that science is possible proves God's existence.
Wait, hold on. What if I tell you that science does not prove God's existence
I
and
agree with
does
you. I
not
just said
disprove
that.
God's existence?
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
it's
But
because,
the
like, in the
possibility.
Bible, it
Oh my
literally
God.
says, "Do you love me enough to trust me that I am real?" Wait, I cannot hear you.
There's two worlds, right? There's a world without a God and there's a world with a God. If we're in the non-God world, we couldn't do science. So science only functions in the God world.
Wait, I'm confused.
Well, you got a lot of background noise, and I don't think this is not going anywhere. Welcome, neighbor.
Good day.
Hello.
I personally am not religious, but I respect every single person who is religious.
Yeah,
And I want to ask some questions.
I don't agree with
Do
that. I
you,
think you are religious, but go ahead.
do you think Christianity or any religion should be based on hate?
No.
Okay, because I was borderline tortured because of my beliefs.
Okay.
And do you think that's Christian from the people that
Well, I mean, I don't, without knowing anything specifically, because I don't know what happened. Like, it's wrong to, like, oppress people or persecute people or be cruel to people. I would say, yeah, that's wrong. If you disagree, I think we should, like, tell you the truth and be like, you're going to hell, but I think you should have the freedom to lie to yourself, I suppose. So.
Okay, but I will not hate anybody if they tell me that. But if I just try to live my life and just on the street trying to live as a normal person, should I be attacked by someone because I have conflict of beliefs with anybody?
Well, I'm against violence personally, so I would say no. No one should be attacked.
Okay, but so many people do that. So many people are actually cruel because of religion and conflict.
They're not cruel because of religion. Look at during the French Revolution, they persecuted Christians and they unalived Christians, and it was atheists doing that.
Yeah, but
So
in a
people, you
modern
know what the
world.
problem is human beings are evil because we rebelled against God, and so now sin entered the world, and humans are just evil. That's why we need Jesus. So we don't do so we treat people good.
Okay, but why can I not be accepted by anybody for having my beliefs? Why
Who
can I?
cares? No one accepts me.
They
Jesus will
care.
accept you. Who cares? People suck. Jesus will accept you. All you need is God. You don't need it. Other people will always disappoint you because they're
But
sinners. So I don't
because
worry
of
about
my.
trying to please other. If you worry about trying to please other people, you're just going to be in hell your whole life. You'll never make other people happy. People are miserable, sad, pathetic, neurotic disasters.
Okay, but when I was before I was Christian, when I was Christian, I was hated. When I am not Christian, I'm not hated. Tell me, why is religion always based around needing to do something? Needing to do something. Why is
Well, I
so-called
don't.
loving God not letting us live as we want? Not letting
That
us
has
have
nothing to do with
freedom?
that has nothing to do with religion. There's been plenty of like like China, they don't have a religion. They control your whole life in China. It's totally
I was directly told I
totalitarianist.
was attacked. I was directly told I
They
was
told you
attacked
you can
because
only have one child policy. That
I was
it had
directly
nothing to do with religion, did it? That was based on what? Science. So if you're
okay.
worried about like your life being controlled, it's not religion, it's science that's controlling your life.
No, no,
Yes.
because in
Okay.
situation that I
Bye.
am in,
They have religion in China. The government is not religious. Welcome, neighbor.
Hello.
Hello. What would you like to say?
Well, is Christianity objectively proven? I'll run through these one by one.
Yes, it is.
I want to believe that's a solid maybe. Mostly because of the Big Bang
No.
Theory, you know?
Well, if you're gonna if you
God
reject
said, let there be light, and then there was light. The universe came into existence from a big kaboom. That's a
allegedly,
pretty bright light if you get what I'm
I
saying.
don't. Yeah, well, I don't believe that shit. So,
The second one is atheism is
whoa, 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 whoa,
irrational.
whoa, 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 whoa,
Whoa.
whoa, whoa.
Hey, I'm just running through the points one by one. I'm not going to debate you on all of these
Okay.
points all at once. I mean, like,
If you
that's a
reject
lot of
Jesus,
information to spit out.
if you reject Jesus as objectively proven, you're making a counterclaim. So,
I'm not
Jesus,
rejecting anything.
are you a Christian?
Mormon.
Oh my God.
What is Mormon?
Welcome, neighbor.
Hey, good morning. How's it going, guys?
It's going well. What would you like to say?
Wait, hold up. Give me a second. Oh, I see my cousin here in the live. What's up, man? Um, can you explain what Mormonism is?
I'm not a Mormon. I kicked that guy.
Oh, you kicked him? Oh, my bad, my bad.
Yeah, Mormonism would be a cult. So, what would you like to say?
Oh, I mean, I came here because I thought you were a Mormon. I was gonna debate you on it,
Oh, okay.
but all right then.
No, I'm a
I
Baptist.
mean, I agree with everything. Science is okay. I mean, number 5. Science is a theistic concept. I mean, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So science relies on there to be like a rational order to the universe that we can
Hmm.
study, and
Yeah.
so the order requires an orderer, right? So that's God that puts the
Hmm.
order in the universe that the scientist studies. If you deny that, then it's like, well, where does the order come from? It's either it'd be like our minds just projecting an order onto chaos that doesn't exist. So it's either the order is real and it proves God, or you'd have to like say that the universe is an illusion of our mind.
Do you recommend any books that I can read that you read that got you prepared into like apologetics and stuff?
Oh, sure. I read, well, one of the title's really easy is The Objective Proof for Christianity.
All right, hold up.
There's the book. I read this book like twice, and this is the argument that I use. It's a devastating argument. The strength of this argument is it's an anti-skeptical argument, which means like typically when people make an argument, people will just like reject it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um Even if you make like a solid like evidentialist argument for God, it's only probabilistic. Well, they could say, oh well, maybe probably God exists, but I just don't believe it still. I'm not convinced, right? Well, with this argument in this book, the objective proof for Christianity that I'm not convinced shtick doesn't work because
Right.
it's an anti-skeptical. So when you reject Jesus as the foundation for things like logic, science, morality, you're making a counterclaim. Well, something else must be the foundation for logic, science, and morality. Well, what's that?
Right. Right.
So you can't just simply
Look.
reject the
Look.
claim
Yeah.
and get off scot-free. The claim forces them to defend their position, which is indefensible. So the Christian position is way stronger. It's like the only position that makes sense that can
Yeah. I
account
mean,
for
it's been
truth.
around for 2,000 years, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I mean,
I
I'm
got
able to bring somebody up to like because I want to ask him questions.
well. I just
There's
do but the thing is, I like just to do like a one-on-one. Let's see here. Not sure. I wish TikTok would tell me who requested first. It's just they randomize the order. Welcome, neighbor.
What's up, man?
What would you like to say?
So could you go more into depth about the objectively proven number one point?
Yeah,
Where's
I mean,
the objectivity there?
we can go like super into the weeds. Well, if you think about like an argument, so when we debate, you have to. Everyone comes to the debate with a bias. What's it? So we observe the world through a framework of like reason and logic.
Correct.
And you're like facts aren't neutral. So you're going to interpret the facts based on that framework. And so I have like a Christian framework through which I observe the world, and you have whatever non-Christian framework through which you observe the world. So that's really what we're debating here. We're debating our frameworks. We're not debating God's not just some regular fact. God makes facts true. He's the source of truth.
Got it. Yeah, so
So
I went to Catholic school. I'm not religious, but I went to Catholic school, so I learned a lot about this. Essentially, I feel like claiming that Christianity is objectively proven kind of, even if the facts behind that might be shaky, which I believe that they
it's
would be.
no,
A
it's a
point about Christianity, a major thing is faith. So it's
so
not
what? Faith and
necessarily needs
objective
to be
proof aren't
objectively proven. Faith
faith,
is more
but
about,
no, faith and objective proof are not mutually exclusive. You can have faith in something that's objectively proven. Like faith just means you have a high confidence in something.
it's
Like Paul
important in the Christian faith though.
Paul wrote like there's 500 witnesses to the resurrection in one of his letters, right? Why would he write that if evidence wasn't important?
I mean, that's fair, but one thing we learn about is we don't actually know who the authors are.
What?
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Dude, that is so dumb. Are you serious? You believe that shit? Are you really a Christian?
I'm not a Christian, but I went to
Oh,
Catholic
okay.
school.
Well, that explains it. Yeah, that's what you're saying is just stupid. Like we know it. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay, people
Correct,
want to
but there's
rework.
no actual
No,
substantial proof as to them being the authors.
that is horseshit. The
That's taught
church.
in school.
Stop. Who who cares? If we look at the church tradition, the people in the original church, they said it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They had no issue with that. So why do we want to rewrite history? You think the people back then didn't know what the hell they were doing? They're dumb or something? Like it
Not at
doesn't
all.
make
That's
what
not
you're
how
saying
things
doesn't make
go.
any sense. It's just like cute academic BS. Like I wouldn't buy that shit.
Just objectively, there is no evidence that they themselves were the authors. It could have been written by anybody, and I'm not
Okay,
discrediting.
look. You don't know what you're talking about, and you're totally full of shit and low information. Like I'm not trying to be rude, but that's just not true. That's embarrassing. You
I've
shouldn't be saying things
educated
like,
in the
well,
Catholic faith through school.
okay, well, I think you're an embarrassment. So I don't know. I don't even want to convert you at this point. Like I'd rather you just not be Christian because it's embarrassing.
I'm trying to just speak kindly here, and I'm just
All
giving
right.
my
Well,
side.
you're just totally you're wrong. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That's who wrote the gospel.
Okay.
There's no secret there. It's not a mystery.
There's no evidence to claim
Dude,
objectivity there.
okay, I'm just gonna drop you. You keep saying that, and it's grossly inaccurate. So you just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. No, I'm aware of what the academics say, but why should I believe them? The church tradition. Am I wrong when I say the church tradition teaches that it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John? Am I wrong about that? That's what the church tradition say. Why should I believe academia and not the church tradition? Tell me that. That's what I want to hear. I don't give a fuck. Academia says a lot of stupid shit. Who cares? Academia also says evolution is true, right? I don't believe that. And they say the Big Bang's true. I don't believe that. And they make those beliefs dogma. So
I
why do we trust academic dogma? Welcome, neighbor. Are you an adult neighbor?
unfortunately no. My
Oh,
fault.
you have to be an adult. Or
Okay,
get
my
banned.
fault.
You sound like an adult. I would have never known that wasn't an adult. I think it was I think it was a woman, but I could be wrong. Maybe I shouldn't gender if I don't know. Yeah, it was like my cats don't like atheism. It was like a woman with a low voice. She sounded like an adult. Well, no one's requesting up. I got this book I'm working on, I guess. I was also gonna read. Maybe I should finish listening to. I was trying to listen to. My friend wants because my friend doesn't like my potty mouth. Fair enough. I mean, I think I should probably swear less too and stuff. I guess. I just also don't think it's a big deal at the same time. And like, my cat is so. Hey, we're all friends. Hey, my cat. My cat's being a bully. Hey, Dorian. Hey, what are you doing? You're being a bully. Why you do that? Don't do that. Hey, hey, be nice. You're being a jerk. Stop being a jerk. You're being a jerk. Stop it. You're being mean. Why you mean? Why you mean? Why you mean? I can bully you. You want to bully them? Stop it. I'm cat sitting for my sister, and my I have a cat, and my cat's he's starting to kind of bully a little bit. He was like super chill at first, but now it's like he's gotten comfortable with the other cats. Now he's kind of like being slightly territorial around the water and the litter. Although he's not like, he's not super mean. He's just he's more like playful. But he keeps doing it when they go to drink water. He'll go like fuck with them. The Bible's been translated. What are you, a transphobe? Christianity isn't a theory, it's a person. So where was this video? Here it is. No.
Before first speaking with them, before first seeking their restoration.
Greg Bonson has a bunch of videos called Mouth Control. My friend wanted me to watch them. There's like a bunch of them though. There's like 7 lectures. Welcome, neighbor.
Hey, Moss.
Hello.
I agree with everything you just said.
Okay.
I agree with the entire I'm just waiting for these atheists to come up.
Oh, I just like to do one-on-one. I don't like to do like a big panel thing.
Yeah, okay. You can drop me if you want. It's okay.
No worries. Because like I like to, when I'm waiting, I like to read and I like to like hear. I want to listen to the finish. I started this sermon yesterday. I got 13 minutes left in the sermon. I should finish it.
Reason have you to speak against your neighbor unless it's to build them up.
So the idea, the whole point of the sermon is about like basically controlling your words and making your words godly. And for obvious reasons, you can see why people wanted me to listen to this. And my cat is bullying again. Hey, come here, bud. Oh, these cats, man. They're getting more used to each other. Although I think my sister's taking her cat soon. But who the hell knows? She's so scattered. Alright. Why did I plug this back in?
Pull them back to seek recognition.
Welcome, neighbor.
How is Christianity objectively proven?
It's like either God is the necessary precondition for intelligibility or something else is. And all non-Christian attempts to ground intelligibility collapse into absurdity.
Wait, can you say that first part again?
Either God is the necessary precondition for intelligibility or something else is.
Why does it have to be like that?
Well, there's preconditions for intelligibility. They're either revealed by God or they're arbitrary.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I gotta plug my phone in. It's about to die.
Do you deny that there's preconditions?
Wait, hold on. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Alright, say that again.
The preconditions for intelligibility are either revealed by God or they're arbitrary.
Why is that?
Because, like, standards for truth, if they just come from human minds, they're arbitrary. So we need to get a standard of truth that's revealed by the mind of God.
How are they arbitrary?
Because they come from a human mind. Humans just invent them.
And how does that prove Christianity?
Due to the impossibility of the contrary, because without Jesus to aid you in your reasoning, human reasoning would be reduced to futility due to things like...
Oh, wait, my friend's in this chat. I got a dip.
Bootstrapping. Oh, okay. Welcome, neighbor.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. I don't know if you read my comments.
No, I kind of don't really pay a lot of attention to the chat, so...
Okay. I am here to be respectful, not trolling. I am an atheist. So I guess the only reason I'd like to hop on lives like this is just to ask, do you have questions for somebody like me, or if like a certain like so do you have words for me in a sense?
I don't know. I mean, because I debate this topic a lot, so I kind of like know it inside out. So I don't really have any like questions about like I know the atheist position and stuff. And
Okay, so like no questions, no anything.
no, I just prove the Bible's true, and then
Okay. Now may I ask questions?
yeah.
Okay. Um, do your entire like existence of like believing in God and all that, has there ever been a moment of doubt?
Sure.
Sure. That's
Yeah.
nice answer.
Yeah. I've had a one time I had a doubt about I thought that Jesus taught that he would come back in people's lifetimes, and so that kind of caused some doubt. And then I did more research and stuff into it.
Okay. But outside of that, like you never had a doubt in your belief.
Sure, sometimes I might have a doubt. Yeah. So.
Oh, no. This is not a got you moment or anything like
Well,
that.
I'm here to get got, so it doesn't bother me.
Okay. Uh, I appreciate your answer.
Okay.
My next question is a question that I hope that you can give more emphasis. Why do you feel so strongly that out of the 3,000 religious aspects, if not counted through history, you believe your faith is the strongest, if not the truest?
Because any other of the non-Christian faiths would deny one or more of the attributes of Jesus Christ, and the attribute set of Jesus Christ is like unique, so like no other God has that attribute set, and that attribute set is like indispensable to truth, reason, intelligibility. So like breathing air is indispensable for you to continue like living. Jesus is indispensable for the possibility for like logic to function or be real, and so therefore any non Jesus position would make like logic and reality fake or an illusion. So only Christians can be a realist.
Okay, if that's the statement, if that's like the end quote of that, like paraphrasing thing, how can you say that when like how do you feel about the common abortion law?
I think it's fake and gray. Like we should. It's like legalized murder. It's horrible.
It's horrible. And what's the reason for that?
It's wrong to do a ritual human sacrifice of a preborn baby.
A ritual sacrifice. How long has abortion been around?
I'm not sure.
Ah. But like if you can give an estimate time
How the
period.
hell would I think it's been around a long time. I don't know.
Okay. Now, do you have you have, of course, is your mother alive or not dead? You don't have to answer.
She's dead.
She's dead? I'm
She's
so
dead as
sorry.
hell.
I apologize.
It's all good.
I mean, I have to apologize because, like, if that's true, I'm sorry. I'm not here to, like, make fun or anything, but
It's cool, man.
yeah.
She died a long time ago.
Same here. I have a lost parent in myself. Both parents, actually, but that was a long time ago.
So Should I give someone else a chance, or did you want to say something?
I guess what I'm trying to get my point across is like, what makes the difference of ideology if it's the same existence? We're both doing the same thing. We're both asking the same thing. We're both going through the same thing, but yet our results are different.
Well, everyone has like a bias, and then so the question is like, who has the correct bias? And I think if when we examine all the biases, that only the Christian biases make sense. So all the other,
Why do you assume that? Because is it only because you truly believe it, or is it actually real?
It's actually real because, like I say, Jesus is the source of reality, right?
Okay.
And so if Jesus
What's the worst thing to do about like God perspective? Like, if I were to right now like cuss out God, would that upset you or upset him?
I mean, you have to take it up with God, I guess. I don't care what you do. You can do whatever you want.
Right? Okay. That how is there a different point of view versus like what actually is? If you don't follow that rule, but God and me and him have to follow that rule. You know what I mean? Like, how is that the different perspective if not like it's a biased point of view?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. We all have a bias, and any non-Christian bias would make it that like reasoning and science were impossible.
Do you have like the knowledge of like Catholicism and like the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witness and all that?
I'm aware there's different denominations.
But you know why there is different denominations?
Yeah, because people disagree. Because God gave us the freedom to disagree.
But
so
like,
we all thought the same.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like,
Satan wants us all to think the same. Jesus came to divide, not unite us.
Okay, so if that's the case, why do you subjectify yourself with only one and not all?
I don't know what. I believe.
Why do you subjectify yourself with just Christianity?
Because I want to believe the truth, and the Christianity is the truth.
And that's your bias. That's what I'm saying. That's your bias.
Everyone has a bias, but only the Christian bias.
Everyone has a bias.
The Christian bias is necessary.
I'm so confused because you're saying like the Christian bias is the truth.
I don't think we're getting anywhere here. Welcome, neighbor.
Hello. So there was also, I think that, so you say science is a theistic concept. I'm, from my understanding, that's like meaning it is proven by God, or like.
Yeah, science can't prove science, so God, Jesus, has to verify the fundamental pillars that get science started.
Okay. So is that just because creatures just can't, or like anything just can't possibly learn? Like over time develop skills and knowledge?
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to have knowledge if Jesus wasn't who he says he is.
But say let's try, or not, I don't know, that's rude phrasing. Let's give the possibility that evolution is possible. And how would that not, like it could be flipped the same way for like Jesus creating the fundamental rule that science exists. If you flip it to the fact that evolution exists, just out of that being a possibility, that would also then deny the opposite of it being Jesus. You know, like I feel like
evolution can prove science is true.
Science can prove that evolution is true. Science is a process. It's a way of thinking.
So I made an argument that we need Jesus to do science. So
Yeah, and so evolution can support the idea of science because we can learn and develop as.
Are you saying we don't need
creatures.
Jesus to do science?
Yes, I would say that.
But evolution isn't a defeater for that. Like, that doesn't make any sense what you're saying.
Evolution is a process of changing and learning and developing, and it's a process of change. And so a base creature that doesn't understand anything, learning how to write and read and speak and change
Evolution
and develop.
doesn't explain how knowledge is possible, sir.
It explains how a mind can develop and bodies. Sorry, what?
Evolution does not explain how knowledge in science is possible.
Yes, it literally does. Are you not hearing? Okay, here.
You don't know what you're talking about, though. So,
dude, I'm studying evolution. I'm an evolutionary major. Okay.
But that has nothing to do with the topic, because this topic is metaphysics. So you can throw all that out the window because it's useless for what we're talking about.
I'm trying to tell you how evolution can support.
So, but this is a metaphysical discussion. We're talking about God and Jesus. Yeah. That's metaphysics. Because Jesus is the foundation of truth.
Yeah, we are talking about that, but it's a base idea of a faith, right? So we can flip both ways. We can flip to the possibility that evolution exists. We could flip to the possibility that Christianity is the truth.
So to do your science, you have to assume that the principle of the uniformity of nature, correct?
And to do your science or faith, we have to accept that all of that is false and that Jesus is the only correct way, right?
Can you focus? So, like, you know about the principle of the uniformity of nature? Are you aware of this?
Sure, educate me.
Oh my God, you're really studying science and you don't know about that?
Just let me know. See, like,
are you lying to me about science? Science? Are you?
If we're going to,
sir, I find it hard to believe you don't know.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
I find it very hard to believe what you told me, that you're like studying science and you don't know what the principle of the uniformity of nature is. Like, what are you? How old are you?
I am 19. I have.
Okay. Okay. Well, science requires the principle of the uniformity of nature.
What is the science? The principle? What?
So, like the idea that when you touch a hot stove and it burns your hand, you go, oh, well, if I touch a hot stove in the future, it'll burn my hand, because you believe there's a similarity or a connection between the past and the future. Right?
Yeah, that's just like basic logic. I don't think you need
basic logic.
You don't need to make it like a theory.
Guess what?
There's no like forcing, like that doesn't need to be taught.
There's no empirical proof for that claim, and there's no rational proof for that claim. Yet all science is based on that type of reasoning. So only if Jesus.
If then reasoning.
What?
If then reasoning, like how.
Only Jesus can give an explanation for that principle, the principle of the uniformity of nature. Only Jesus explains that, and science needs it. Therefore, you can't do science without Jesus. So,
I don't.
If
you can say that Jesus defined that, but that's just because there's like a whole like faith involved with that, you know?
Not understanding, I just made a devastating argument, and you're ignoring the argument. Are you afraid of the truth, sir?
I am not afraid of the truth.
Why don't you deal with what I said? So
the truth that Jesus told you that because this happened, it will happen again in the future.
My argument,
things will maintain.
I just showed
the reality of nature.
I just showed using logic and an objective reasoning that if you deny Jesus is God, then that undermines all scientific claims.
Just the science, like just the facts of how reality is constant. And so just space is constant, and therefore the same thing that caused this will happen again in the future. That doesn't need an explanation. That doesn't have any.
Yes, it does. Because if you don't explain that, then that would undermine any science.
Okay, no, I will explain it to you. If
You
reality
can't.
is a constant and
You're
all
gonna lie to me?
matter is constant, then
Why are you lying?
What?
Why are you lying to me? Do you think you can bamboozle me? I've read.
No.
I
What?
read, sir.
What do you mean? Am I lying
I read,
about?
sir.
What am I
Why-
lying about? Sorry, I must have
Okay.
missed something. What am I lying about?
I'll quote an academic, since you want to try and bamboozle me like I don't read or something.
I didn't say any. Okay.
People do this too. So I guess you don't believe me.
I don't believe
I sit here
that
and lie.
Jesus is the reason for science.
So this is a quote from A.E. Taylor, okay? In discussing the question of the uniformity of nature, he says,
Who is A.E. Taylor? Can you give me his background?
Oh my God.
So, what I'm just confused about is if the way science works as a process proves that evolution is possible, but that disproves what Jesus would teach, how does that work? I think that's a paradox or some sort. I don't know. But if we assume that Jesus didn't teach that, how the world and science works, then it's no longer a paradox.
So A.E. Taylor is a British idealist philosopher, famous for his contributions to the philosophy of idealism
Philosopher.
and writings on metaphysics, the philosophy of religion, moral philosophy, scholarship of Plato, president of the Aristotelian Society.
What was his age, or how old? When was he born?
1869. At
Okay,
Oxford.
he still believed in
At
some
Oxford.
wild shit back then, man.
At Oxford, he was made an honorary fellow. What we believe wild shit today. So what does that do? That's irrelevant.
I'm sorry, man. This is not a real science you're talking about right
Okay,
now.
well, you're going to hell then, I guess. You're just
What?
Fuck you. Try to fucking help people, man. Try to help people reason. Bunch of racists. They're all racist.
Hold on, he's actually inviting me up. Hold on. Hello.
Hold on, bro. Hold on, cuz. Hold on, bro. Cuz. Hello.
What's up?
Hi.
So, I don't know if you make people do the age stuff, but I'm 18.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny that your last viewer kind of rage baited you off the principle that you can't prove in any sort of way that Christianity is objectively proven.
I prove it all the time.
Okay, so go ahead and please don't drop me once you start getting debunked and stuff.
Okay.
Wait, time out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but before we go on, let's not use this philosophy stuff because philosophy is not science. It is interpretation of thought. It is not science in the slightest.
Okay, so either Jesus is the necessary precondition for science or something else is. All non-Jesus attempts to ground science collapse into absurdity. Therefore, Jesus is the necessary precondition for science.
Okay, so question, if that is the logic that you follow behind, with it being written into the Quran that the people of Allah shall look into the world to find proof of his existence.
Welcome, neighbor.
Hey.
Hi.
Is it okay if I talk a little bit about evolution?
I'd rather not. I don't know. This live has nothing to do with evolution. We proved.
Well, I think it has everything to do with what you're talking about.
This live is about metaphysics, and evolution is a scientific claim. Science doesn't.
Well, no, but like, if you just hear me out, I think it kind
I'd
of
rather
has to
I'd
do
rather
with.
not. I'd rather not.
Can I get a couple sentences in at least?
Go ahead.
So you say that Jesus has to be the precondition for logic and complex thought and the basis of science.
Yes.
So if let's just pretend like the theory of evolution is correct. It is only still a theory, but let's pretend that that's correct. So humans evolved from previous what would you say genus of we're currently Homo sapiens. I think it was Homo erectus
I don't know
prior.
anything about science, and I don't want to learn
But
any.
essentially we evolved to have brains capable of complex thought, self-awareness, self-consciousness, and complex thought gathered through evolution is what drives our ability to make decisions. Evolution, for example, you use the example of touching a hot stove and learning from that in the future.
Yeah, but evolution can't
Evolution
explain.
is rooted in the
It can't
strong
explain
survive,
that. It can't
and
explain.
those evolutionary
Stop.
traits are passed on.
Stop. That's the problem. Evolution accounts for survivability, right? It
Yeah,
selects
because
traits that help you survive, right?
correct.
Is survival and truth the same thing?
Can you say that again?
Okay, since you don't want to cooperate, I'll just tell you, I'll just educate you, okay? So, survival and truth are not the same thing. So, if your brain is a product of survival, it's not necessarily a product of truth. So, it could be that thinking incorrectly helped you survive. And therefore, evolution can't get us any assurance that our reasoning is accurate unless our mind is designed in a product of truth. And guess who the truth is? Jesus, right? So if Jesus designed your mind, then you can be assured that your mind is a product of truth. Okay? Do you understand?
Can you go a little bit into what you mean by truth?
Okay. Welcome, neighbor.
We'll see how it goes.
Oh, will we?
Could you go back to the other prompt?
Yes.
There you go. I mean, how can you claim that there was no slavery in ancient Israel?
Because I read books.
Did you read the Bible?
Yeah. Did you?
Did you read Leviticus 25:44-46?
I did.
Where it clearly says the Israelites can buy slaves from the nations around them.
Oh, that the translation only was in the year 1900. And the original King James, they don't have the word slave in the Bible.
The King James is a terrible translation. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, the word, do you know the word that...
The word for slave is also used for servant. Yes, that's correct.
What's the Hebrew word?
But...
Stop. What's the Hebrew word? You don't even
I don't know. I don't speak Hebrew.
Yeah, it's a ved. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about? So...
Okay,
I mean... So shut the fuck up.
No, you shut the fuck up.
Fuck you. Welcome, neighbor. Hello, welcome, neighbor.
What's up?
What up?
Wait, what was that? Like, crash out.
That guy's just a anti-Semite, so I kicked him.
All right. So, anyways, so back on that no slavery in ancient Israel, is that like the only place there's no slavery, or what are you trying to get into with the...
Well, I'm just calling out the deconstruction Christians for their lies and their slander of the God of the Bible, because they can't rationally deny the Bible, so they have to do this bullshit about like, oh, he's a mean, and oh, look at he hurt the baby, and oh, he says slavery good. It's a bunch of crap. The reason you think slavery is wrong is because Jesus changed the world. So
Yeah, clearly he affected the whole timeline.
yeah, we have before Christ and after Christ, right?
Yeah.
We don't have.
So the fact that people
It's never gonna be
deny
like before.
historical I
It's
don't
not gonna
know.
be like before Reddit atheism and after Reddit atheism because like no one gives a shit about Reddit atheism because it's vacuous and surface level, bankrupt, like pretend to be intellectual people.
For sure. I mean, I feel like you're kind of just like shutting down everyone else's ideas, though. That's why I was coming up here.
No,
Not disagreeing, but I feel like you're kind of.
I'm trying to challenge them to think, right? Like
Yeah.
your reasoning, you're using you're appealing to absolute truths, like absolute unchanging truths, like mathematical truths or logical truths. Well, where do you get absolute unchanging truths? What's your absolute unchanging foundation? So we reason from the absolute unchanging foundation of Jesus. So what's your absolute unchanging foundation? And they just lie to me and they abuse me and they fuck with me and then that's it. That's the show.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I feel like there's better approaches, but I get what you're saying.
I mean, what do you mean? I'm dealing with people that are like hostile to God and they're full of like hate.
Yeah, yeah. Do you do multiple people on here, or you just one at a time?
No, I'd like to do one at a time because like these people can't control themselves. So I want to babysit and like moderate everyone. So if there's like 3 people, I can't moderate.
No, yeah, that's true. This shit gets TikTok. I got banned on TikTok Live.
Oh yeah, I've been banned a lot.
Yeah, Sam.
They ban you for no reason.
No, I called some girl a bitch. I got banned for like sexual harassment or something like that. It was.
All right, man. Well,
All right, peace out, bro.
just surfs up, bro. Who's being hateful? Do you think I'm hateful? I don't think I'm hateful. I think like you might. I could see where you would. I would appear hateful from your perspective.
That's your aim. Then remember Proverbs 25, 8-10. Go not hastily to strive, lest.
But like honestly, how can I demonstrate my love online, right? All I can do is like listen to what people have to say, and I do listen to what people have to say. It's just unfortunately what they say is a lot of dog poop. And then I'm hateful because I have to be honest about how pathetic people are. Well, I'm sorry, but maybe take some responsibility. Like if I have to call you all these bad names, maybe that's like your fault. Like if you behave better or you're not such a dumbass, then I don't have to call you names, or I don't have to call you out for your bad behavior and your dumbassery.
Know not what to do in the end thereof when your neighbor has put you to shame. Debate your cause with your neighbor himself, and disclose not the secret of another, lest he who hears it revile thee, and your infamy turn not away. Proverbs says, don't go running to others with your criticisms of your neighbor. Go to your neighbor himself. Say, here's my problem with you. And then maybe you won't be put to shame when you find out you didn't know what was going on. You had read his heart. You were being abusive. Of course, Jesus, our Lord, puts it just as clearly as we could imagine in Matthew 18. If your brother sins against you, go show him his fault between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not hear you, take with you 1 or 2 more. Notice it doesn't get to the public level until you've first gone privately to try to restore your brother. Now, when you go and talk to your brother, or when you talk to others about your brother, do you speak with sensitivity? Do you speak in the way you would want people to speak of you? Bertrand Russell, not a godly man, not even a good philosopher in my mind, but nevertheless, a well-known philosopher, did say at this one point something helpful. He said, we have a tendency to read the very same action in a different light, depending on who engages in it. Russell says, I am firm. You are stubborn. He is positively pig-headed. All referring to exactly the same thing, but depending on who you're talking about. Well, now the question is, how would you want people to speak of you? That's how you should speak of them. Isn't that the golden rule? All things, therefore, whatsoever you would have that men do unto you, do so even unto them, for this is the law and the prophets.
Oh, but then what if I don't mind just admitting that I'm an asshole? Then can I call other people an asshole?
If you wouldn't want people interpreting you in that harsh light, if you wouldn't want people judging your motives in that way, if you wouldn't want that kind of unlanguage used of you, then don't use it of others. Speak of others in the same sensitive way you want to be spoken of.
Well, based on that, I can get behind that, because, like, I honestly don't give a shit if people say all kinds of things about me. It doesn't bother me at all. So then I can say anything about other people. All right, I'll go with that. That's the way I want it, right? I want to live in a world where I can say whatever the hell I want, and people aren't so super sensitive to what I say or my ideas. I mean, as long as I'm not calling for violence or doing anything that's going to, like, physically harm someone with my words, like the classic example of shouting fire in a crowded theater, right? As long as I'm not doing anything that physically hurts, I don't see why we care about feelings. Who the fuck? Why are we trying to legislate feelings? Or, like, I think there's a time and a place to be, like, sensitive and grace and mercy and care about people's feelings, like, for sure. But, like, the problem is we're in a world where people are overly hypersensitive. And so I think the correct thing to do, given the current state of affairs, is that we have to fight back in a radical way by pushing stoicism. People need to be more stoic. This is ridiculous. They're using like the fact that words can hurt feelings as a means to persecute and oppress people, and that's the issue. If insulting and being offensive, that's taken to this extreme of, like, it's like, oh, we're gonna, like, it's a witch hunt, and we're having, like, witch trials, and we're canceling people. Like, I think the culture is already starting to shift away from that, as we've seen with the Shiloh, what was her name? Shiloh, that white girl.
And here's another important point. Do you exemplify the very things that you criticize others for? Are you guilty of the things that you put other people down for? You know, there are people who will criticize the government and the welfare state, and they have their own children in the public schools. That's kind of hard to put together, isn't it?
No.
And there are people who I have heard in the past.
No. Okay, that's not good logic. So, like, just because I have my kids in the public schools, I can't criticize the welfare state? Why not? So, let's say I'm playing a video game, League of Legends, and there's a character in the game that is considered broken. He's overpowered. Playing this character gives you an unfair advantage in the game. So everyone hates the character and criticizes the character. But when it comes time to play the game, you're still going to use the character. So I don't see the issue with, like, well, why would I? Okay, we have this system, right? The welfare system or whatever governments. We have these systems. Why not take advantage of the systems? Why would I, like, be like, oh, well, I can't criticize the system and then to also take advantage of the system? I think that's stupid. You can take advantage of something you don't agree with in the system. Like, why screw yourself over? I don't get it.
Who are not married demand that if someone is going to be a leader or a teacher or an elder, that he must have the proven ability to raise a godly family. Of course, that person doesn't have a family. much less a proven ability to raise a godly family. But boy, that's a point to be driven home. The Bible says, judge not, that you be not judged. For by the same standard you judge, you shall be judged. And with the measure you mete it out, it shall be meted out to you. You hypocrite, first cast out the beam in your own eye, and then you shall see clearly to cast out the speck from your brother's eye. Do your words about others amount to humiliation or mockery? How is this when we ask a question about some fellow who's going somewhere with us? Well, did he get his wife's permission to go? And what kind of humiliation, what kind of mockery is that to say of a man that he has to get his wife's permission? Now, if we say that in jest with him around and we all have a good laugh, that's one thing. When you say that behind somebody's back, it's obviously devouring him. Galatians 5:15, but if you bite and devour one another, take heed that you not be consumed of one another. How about this? Do you say things and then later try to pull it back and pretend you didn't mean it? Evade responsibility? Well, I just knew you'd know I didn't really mean it, literally. You know what the Bible says about that? You're a madman. As a madman who casts firebrands and deadly arrows, so is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only kidding. You know, harsh, bitter words, firebrands, boom, knocking people down, laying them low. And then when they say, hey, that hurts, I wish you wouldn't do that. Oh, I didn't think you'd take me seriously. You know, we just rip the guts out of somebody in the way we talk about them. And then
why not? Why don't we just be like brutally like, why don't we just always joke around and be like brutally honest? Why do we have to live in this like fake world where like, oh gosh, I don't want to be honest because I want them to like me and I better say the thing. See, it's like, do we want to be people pleasers? Because this is the problem too, right? The Bible says if we're people pleasing, then we're not serving Jesus. If you're a Christian, you should be standing out. People should be persecuting you. People should be mocking you. I don't understand. Why would they be persecuting and mocking you? Because you're saying things that piss them off. But that doesn't mean you're like intentionally trying to hurt them. Just being honest and truthful pisses people off. Do you think the Pharisees liked it when Jesus called them whitewashed tombs? I don't think they liked that.
Oh, well, I was just using an expression, a little rhetorical license. And the Bible says you're a madman and a fool to try to evade responsibility in that way. Jesus said, for by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be condemned.
Yeah, because he's talking there about like the heart. Our words reflect our heart, but like you can't focus on the word. Like, what's the intention behind the word, right? Like in a different context, like the N word could be extremely offensive in one context, and then in another context, the N word could be like a term of endearment that like two good friends, they use that word, whatever, as like a term of endearment. So I feel like this is like a word concept fallacy, like what people are doing with this shit. So like again, like I totally disagree with them about the joking thing. Like we use humor to look, life is hard. There's suffering. Life sucks. So what do we do to deal with like the fact that life sucks? Comedy, humor. And what's wrong with that? And that's part of humor is you say something off the cuff, or you give each other crap, like in a joking way. I don't get this. And honestly, I think that's a good way to like break the tension, and it could lead to more honest interactions. Doing shit like that is a good way to break tension and like heal relationships and bring people together. I don't agree with this at all.
How about this? Are you always careful to tell the truth when you speak?
Welcome, neighbor.
Hello?
Hello.
How's your day going?
It's going good.
All right, cool. Can I just say, there's only one topic I'm going to talk about here, because the rest is your opinion, and I don't mind that whatsoever.
Not my opinion.
Well,
mean that it's. Oh, really? Can you prove that, bitch?
we're not
Hey,
going to
hey,
get
hey,
into
hey!
that. We're
That's
not
my
going to get into
opinion.
that.
Hey, can you prove that,
What?
little bitch? Hey, can you prove that, bitch?
I'm trying to talk about one topic here. I'll talk about the other one after. I'm trying to talk.
God. They do this shit.